Hello everyone and welcome to the HobbyGuard. So the dreaded time to have that talk has come. It has finally happened, and it's been happening for a while. Now, trust me, this video will be about fem stories eventually. But first, before we get to the actual fem stories, I want to apologize. This is relevant to the video, trust me. I've had kind of a chaotic week. I've had a very tough week actually. There was a tragedy in the family, and then my dog, my 12-year-old dog, she had a very tough surgery that they didn't know it had to be that hard. And then I have to keep up with work and whatever. That being said, I will continue to make content, obviously, as often as I can and as much as I can and as best quality as I possibly can. It's just been a lot lately. I'm not complaining, by the way. I'm happy to be able to be there for the people that I love in this hard moment, and I'm happy to be able to take care of my dog. There's way worse things out there, but it's kind of been a lot. Not only for this past week, but for the past few years actually. I was back in Mexico, where I come from. I was constantly in a tough situation because a lot of us there are constantly in tough situations, going through tough things. That doesn't mean we don't enjoy life or we're not grateful. No, we truly are. I think I would even say more than most other cultures that I've interacted with so far. We acknowledge that life is hard, and so we work hard. Mexicans were like that. We like to work hard because we feel life is so chaotic where we come from. And it's not only that. I know a lot of people will relate to this, but we like to work hard because we have a sense of control when we're working, right? But anyway, so I was living in Mexico a few years ago, and then 2.5 years ago, me and my wife finally were able, after trying and going through a very grueling process of having her hired abroad and having her, she's a doctor, right? She's a veterinarian, so having her basically validate her studies and her practice, her veterinary practice in Canada, right, where we moved to. So that itself, it obviously took a toll on us back in the day, especially on her. I didn't have to study at all. Yeah, that took a toll on us. But anyways, we moved here, and I sold everything that I owned. Everything that I've ever had, I sold, except for 2 bags of things. So I kept some art supplies with me, just enough that I could carry around on the airport, and my Warhammer miniatures, and some clothes, obviously, just clothes mainly. And that was about it. I gave away most things actually, but I sold a lot of things, like precious things, and I mean like very valuable and very precious things. I just had to give away because I was starting over, and I was very lucky to do so. So I'm not complaining. Through any of this, keep in mind, I'm not complaining. It was just very hard. Why did I bring my miniatures? Well, I brought my miniatures with me because I had a feeling that I was recently married at this point, and me and my wife had never lived together, so I was moving into a country that I had never been in my life. A country I've read a lot about and seen a lot about and heard a lot about. I was enamored by it, but that doesn't change the fact I'm going into a city where I don't know a single person in that city. So I'm moving to the city, I don't know anyone. I know the language, I know some English. Previous to this, I had lived in the United States for a while back in the day. Everything completely legally, obviously. I want to mention that just so y'all don't think this is some sort of political rant. It's not. I don't like politics. I brought my miniatures because considering all those things, I knew I was gonna need something to bring me back home. I brought my miniatures and a couple of art supplies. We didn't even have an apartment. We didn't know where we were gonna stay. We stayed on an Airbnb until we found an apartment. So what I'm trying to say is, we were very lucky. It was awesome. It's been the adventure of my life, but it is stressful, right? So that's why I brought my miniatures, because I was like, oh well, this is very special for me. This is something that I've invested, not the miniatures themselves, but this universe, like just Warhammer itself, the Warhammer 40k to be specific. It just has been with me for many years at this point, and for some of the hardest moments in my life, it's one thing that I can take with me, because it's a very nice escape. It's not the most important thing in my life, but it's a great escape, and I respect it a lot for that. So while I take care of my actual priorities, my family, my wife, finding a job, finding money, finding stability, starting over in a new country, and then once I finally found a job after 2 months of looking for hours a day and just applying for literally more than 100 different positions, it's just never having your resume even looked at for like 90% of those. So yeah, I'm not complaining. Again, this is something that most men will go through. Keep that in mind. Everything I said is still considered amongst men. It's still considered a privilege, okay? Especially the moving to a first world country part, at least where I'm from. And it's been amazing. It's been very hard though. I've had, even only in the last year, I've mentioned this, I'm sure, a friend with 2 daughters just kidnapped, and unfortunately he's no longer with us, right? And a lot of people have passed away in only these 3 years that I've been here, because, well, even before that, a lot of people were passing away, right? A lot of people that I knew. It's just different. It hits different now because I can't be there with them, with my friends and my family. We can't, our community, right? I can't complain. That's the thing. I can never complain because I'm still the lucky one, right? Because I'm here. Instead of complaining, I can still escape, I can still role play and go back to something that I like and respect and enjoy, and that takes me back, something that remains pure, these memories with friends. Like, why does Warhammer remain pure? Well, it's pretty cool in many ways, and an important part of it, and I'll get more into that later, is there's this band of brothers factions. There's many factions. There's band of sisters as well, a lot of female factions, but it has a surprising amount of cool brotherly orders, or these archetypes for groups of men that are comrades with each other, right? So all that stuff just brings me back to the friends and family that I can no longer be with, because I shared some of this stuff with them, and sometimes even a lot of this stuff, right? Again, it's no biggie. This is only my distraction, okay? My actual brain, my actual priority, my constant priority is just taking care of my wife, being a good husband, because it's a new marriage, right? And learning to speak better English, and learning as fast as I can the culture here and the work culture and everything that I need to do. And then once I finally find a job, just work as hard as I can, just to prove myself and to prove to everyone that I deserve to be here, right? That because the fact of the matter is, I saw the job market out there. I saw how hard it is to get a job, and the unfortunate situation is, yes, there's a lot of immigrants. Most of the people who can't find jobs here are immigrants, unfortunately, but a lot of them are also Canadians, right? The natives. So I have this personal moral baggage on my shoulders of, I have to prove that I can be of service to the society, right? So we do everything right, everything legally, we pay our taxes, we volunteer for here and there. We try to make friends, we try to be part of the community and work as hard. So that's my actual priority, right? And take care of my wife and so on. And eventually we can finally even bring our pets from Mexico to here. And then after a whole year, I'm finally able to bring my PC back from Mexico to here. I still rather bring my miniatures with me, because it was an escape. It was valuable. It was something I valued and respected and took me back. Again, it's not my priority, but it's a nice escape. It's just something that accompanies me through life, and I'm working and I'm listening to the audiobooks, and I have to take 3 buses for the first 2 years that I'm living in this country. Not anymore, but for the first 2 years that I'm living in this country, I have no way of transportation. I have to take 3 buses every morning and 3 buses every afternoon. Well, every night rather. 4 if I wanna go to the Muay Thai gym. 3 to 3.5 hours of commuting every day, and I never complained, because I'm like on the lucky side of things. So I don't complain. I love it. When I say I don't complain, I don't mean I can't complain. I mean, like, I really genuinely don't want to complain, because I love every aspect of my life. But it is still hard, As a man, I feel like, I don't know if as a man, but I've noticed we as men, we almost do better when we, instead of complaining, just distract ourselves with something else, something that feels safe and cool, and for example, something like this, which takes me back to my childhood, because it's obviously a very childish universe in some ways, but retains a lot of intellectual value that I can still have a good time reading about it and playing with it in my elder years, right? Even more so now, because before life was so much harder, and I kept thinking, like, I bought my first box of Warhammer when I lived in Mexico, but it was very expensive. It took me 3 months to finish paying it off. It was like I want to say like a quarter of my salary there, actually a bit more. So that's how expensive it was. So anyways, I feel like men do better with an escape like that. Something that's not our priority, mind you. It's not all that important, but it's just like we actually took care of a lot of the important stuff already, because it's not important at all compared to my actual job, right? What I actually do for a living, for example, which is not even my priority, right? My priority is my family, but immediately after that, well, I'm family and friends, and obviously my job, right? And my actual job, it's very important. I work in hydraulics and hydraulic equipment, and hydraulics make the world go round, and it's a very important job. If I make a mistake, people can pay for it, people can get injured, heavily injured. We work with conveyance of thousands of pounds of pressures, but the point is, I have to be very, very precise, right? And that's my actual job. That's where I spend most of my time and effort and mental energy throughout the day, for 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. I took 3 buses in the morning, 1.5 hours, then worked for 9 hours, and I didn't just wing it at work. I really busted my ass, because again, it's just my work ethic, and I gotta prove to myself and my friends at work and my boss and my wife. Sorry, that's not voice cracking, it's just a tired voice, very dry throat. But not even at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, by the time I'm home, it's already 7:30. Sorry, maybe at the end of the week, maybe come the weekend, I get to, paint my miniatures, and all along the week I get to listen to audiobooks from this cool universe that again, it's not my priority, but it is a very nice escape that helps me get through. And then this particular week, all these things happen that I already told you about, and it is truly tragic. It is truly heartbreaking, and I can't complain, because there are people who are suffering more than me, and to me it is an honor, and I mean this 100%. It is an absolute honor to be able to be there for them as much as I can. Unfortunately, not physically, because I am in another country, but for my wife, because she's the one who's suffering the most right now. So it is amazing for me to be able to be with her and sort of support her in this very heartbreaking time. But that is also a stressful thing, right? I am also very sad. But I can't complain, and I don't want to complain, because that's men. We men don't really want to complain. Instead of complaining and having the world hear our plights or our stresses, because we don't even consider these plights, all of those aren't problems. That's just life to us. I'm not complaining, because I am one of the lucky ones. 90% of men out there are probably having a harder time right now. So I'm not being ironic, or I'm not being, I know people don't usually talk this way, but I'm just very truthful and genuine right now when I say I'm actually not complaining, okay? I have it great right now. I'm very blessed. But it still takes a toll on us, even when we're doing this good, because it would take a toll on anyone. But instead of complaining, we like to escape. Maybe to a community or a group of friends, or a fictional universe in our heads, in our brains, the kingdom of the mind, if you will, where we can roleplay something else for a few hours. Oh, but it's childish. Sure, call it that. It's childish. But there's nothing wrong with being, if you consider that which percentage of our personality is that in our day-to-day lives, a 5% or a 10% is a healthy amount of being childish. As long as you have a rest of a a percentage of personality inside you that knows when to be mature, when to take care of things, what to prioritize in life. Prioritize your responsibilities, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your health, your finances, all that stuff, right? It is a very healthy way to channel all of that by, getting together with a group of friends and whatever, throwing dice, painting miniatures together. They don't even have to be male friends. It just so happens that mostly you hang out with more with people of your own gender for evolutionary reasons. It's always been the case. Nothing. I have plenty female friends as well. I just have more male friends. That's just nature, right? So usually men, but not always. I have female friends that I get together and play Warhammer with as well. And I'm sorry, not play Warhammer, but paint Warhammer. And it's a blast every time as well. So it's not like a gender thing, right? All I'm saying is I can only talk as a man, right? But then after a long weekend, I come the other night at home to watch the reveals, and I'm getting excited because I'm like, oh, I get to watch the reveals, and maybe when I finally have time again to talk about them on my channel, I can, because I started watching like those first models that they revealed, the Red Corsairs, and they looked amazing. I was kind of getting very hyped. And then finally it comes to this, the female Custodes. And again, let me put it into perspective. It's that little escape, that little 5% of my life, right, of my day. I have like the hobby room. By the way, my wife also has a place in the hobby room. Like she has her own desk and everything. That's why there's a sewing machine behind me. But this is like the safe space, the hobby room. I only spend there a small percentage of time. But I open this sacred space to this sacred temple that makes me feel that all those hours busting my ass, well, I have control over like which vibe I want to build for my creative side and my childish side, So it's special. So like you open the door to your hobby place, I'm talking metaphorically here, and there's a girl wearing the costume of the warriors of a legendary band of brothers in this fictional universe. Man, none of this is important. This is just a game. This is just like fictional universe, whatever. And there's this chick wearing the costume. Sorry, again, not voice cracks, just dry throat. And she's telling you like, nah, 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 nah. This male-only band of brothers? Well, guess what? Now there's girls in it. And you're like, yeah, well, okay, I guess. They already had announced that. And it was gonna come. And the girl's like, don't you wanna know why there's girls? Because there were never used to be girls. And I'm like, no, actually, no, I'm good. I don't have time for this. I just wanted to escape for a while. Why aren't you annoyed? Like, yeah, it's pretty annoying. Please get out of my face. I thought that you felt some respect for the product that we've been engaging, you and those who buy it, for many years. I was never under the illusion that I had a say in what you do, but if you have, in Mexico, we have people who sell bread in carts, right? And if every morning I go and I give you 10 pesos, and you give me a bag with bread every single morning, and then one morning I open it, and instead of bread, there is a tamale, as you people call it, I would just say tamal, I'd be annoyed. I'd be like, yo, this is a tamal. You sell bread. I buy bread from you. I go to you for bread. It's like, what? You don't like tamal? Do you think tamal is not good enough? Do you think bread is better than tamal? No. It's just like, I love tamal. Don't get me wrong. But we have an agreement that when I come to you, you give me bread because I've been buying bread and I've been consuming your bread, and you give me bread. You can also sell tamal. I'm not telling you not to sell tamal. Just we had an agreement. You can sell tamal to other people or sell me tamal, but don't put it in my bag of bread. This is my bag of bread, not tamal. Well, this is what that is. Like, no, I'm not even angry. It's just I wanted bread. I've been paying you for bread, and you give me tamal. Now let's be realistic. We've known this is coming for a long while, and what have the arguments been over and over again? Why do you care if there's female Custodes? What does it matter? Do you hate women? No, obviously not. Then why do you care? Why are you such a weirdo? Aren't you like a 30-something-year-old man? Don't you have priorities? Like, yeah, I have priorities. I just explained all my priorities. This isn't Like, this isn't important. That's why I enjoy it, because it's not important. It's safe, because it doesn't matter, but we already had a conversation going for many years. And all of a sudden you just change some of the characters, and like, it doesn't make sense, because I was paying you for this conversation. This was not a free conversation. I cannot tell you which story you get to tell me, right? In the books or whatever, or with your miniatures, your models. I don't tell you which story you get to sell to me. I'm a capitalist, okay? I'm not saying like, oh, they don't have the right. No, they should have the right. It's the right. And I never assumed that I would have any say in it. I just figured that they'd be smart enough not to do that, right? And what's the other criticism people respond to? It's like, then just don't buy it. Like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna buy it. But you can understand how everything I just described was sort of an uncomfortable experience. Just buy something else. Well, yeah, I'll buy something else, but like, how can I trust you how can I keep buying bread from you or something else from you if I don't know what you're gonna give me in the future, right? How can this relationship keep going? Again, it's not important. We're talking just a small percentage of like men's brains that want that little thing, that they have. That is childish and ridiculous and not really very important, and that's exactly why we enjoy it, because that's how we deal with things, some of us. That's a healthy way to deal with it, one of the many healthy ways. This is another thing, like, why do you assume that GW is only adding female Custodes just to spite men? And why do you think it's a political thing? What does that have to do with anything? That's something I've heard a lot. Maybe they just made a creative decision. You know what? I wish that was the case. If there was anything creative about what they did, I'd be like, it's a creative decision. I might not like it, but there's been many of those throughout the years. I've read, for example, the entire the Horus Heresy, and it's full of creative decisions that have changed the pre-established lore, and that I didn't quite agree with, but there was enough interest in there from the part of the authors or whatever, the people making the creative choices, to say, well, maybe I didn't like this small part, but I know that you're making an effort, so I'll keep investing in your effort. But this isn't even that. It's just like you watch a 3-hour movie, and all of a sudden, 3 hours in, this is a very long movie, okay? Just actually, if you compare that to for how long we've been following the lore of Warhammer, some of us, it's many, many years, but let's just say a 3-hour movie, and all of a sudden, you change a few of the main characters, and you don't really elaborate on it. You understand, and just nothing ever it's never addressed, like why specifically you did that, absolutely at all. There's no statement on why you did that. Well, then it's not a creative decision. It's a political decision. I was talking the other day about how many of these political activists will find jobs in these companies and will from the left and the right. Again, I'm not a political person, and will implement their own agendas. And I explained in a very lengthy video why to me that's shooting themselves in the foot, and it doesn't really help anyone from whichever political side you're on. Like, that's my blanket understanding of things, my blanket belief. That does happen, and also people put political pressure from the outside. How many people have complained on online? No one that I know that actually plays, mind you. I'm sure there are many, I just don't know them, I don't hang out with them. But people do complain about, like, hey, why are there no female Custodes, right? And then the thing you hear the most is, well, it doesn't matter, man, it's just some toys, whatever. And you're like, yeah, I know, dude, I know this doesn't matter. I know it's just some toys, but it was something that I thought was cool. And that's all I'm saying. It's not the end of the world. I still gotta go back there to my real life, where I don't get to wear a cool wizard hat, unfortunately. And just get back to it, There's just so many chores to do, so many things to do, and I love all of it. And the reason I'm able to excel as much as I can, or to be as successful as I can, and every single father, husband, brother, student, male student, I don't know if every single, but I'm speaking for most of those that I know, they're all going through something, actually most of the time a lot harder, and they're having much harder time. When you change something that they really like so drastically without any true explanation, any respectful explanation, even if, you know, going back to my analogy with the bread and the tamales, yeah, it doesn't matter, you know, I thought you were better. So anyways, we've known this has been coming for a long while. We as fans are completely powerless to change it, but I don't think we should change this. Actually, and I'm being 100% honest right now, I don't think we should do anything to stop this from happening. We should speedrun it. Every person who's upset by GW just changing their lore on a whim to appease someone for a change that no actual substantial percentage of their clientele wanted, every person who didn't want this to happen basically should just go and ask and complain, not about this, but let's just go all the way. Oh, you want to be political? Okay. Well, why don't we have all types of tyrannies, you know? Dwarf tyrannies, obese tyrannies. Tyrannid players need representation too, right? It doesn't matter that they're aliens, you know. Obese people also play tyrannies. Hell, I've been one of them back in the day. Where's the obese tyrannies? Where's the representation on that? And we should do that over and over and over and over again and speed run the descent and just save GW, you know, what took Star Wars the last 10 years to realize. If they realized at all. Let's just save them the trouble. Let's do it in 2 years. Let's just ask for more and more outrageous shit, because that's the other thing men do. When we lose our faith in something, we start making fun of it. All the way. Just coldly. Especially if we really cared about it. Remember, if men really care about something, they'll destroy it with their words. So, yeah. I just say, just let it happen. Why not? I say we send it, and yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I do have a lot of things to go back to, so I'll get back to my usual content once I have this sort of stuff figured out. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched this far. I'm sure there's a lot more things that I want to say. I want to talk about so much more, like the more positive side of things after this, right? Because I think that we have, as men and women or whoever, just as adults, have to be more proactive, and I've been getting inspiration from other channels lately to go out and create our own thing. So it's very scary to think in those terms, only because we're so busy and everything, most of us, if not all of us. But you know, someone has to do it. There's new generations of autistic nerds and dorks who also need something cool. It's terrifying, but if they're not gonna provide it, then we have to make it, and it's gonna be hard, but we'll get there. And I want to talk more about it in the future. So yeah, if you're in for the ride, like and subscribe. I just have a lot on my back right now, so I apologize ahead of time if my upload schedule is a little messy. But all that being said, thank you for watching, take care, ad astra, and I'll see you on the next one.